Welcome to Quantum Finance. My name is Parker. I'm the head trader here, but I am not a financial advisor and this is not financial advice. So in today's video, we'll take a look at the economic data, we'll go over some news, we'll do a market recap, and then we'll look at the trading opportunities from today. So starting here on the economic data front, we did have core consumer price index month over month change come in at 0.4%. We did have CPI month over month come in at 0.1%. And we did have CPI year over year come in at 5%. And we also had crude oil inventories coming at 0.597 mil. So turning to the calendar, we had CPI today, and we also had the Fed meeting minutes come out today at 2 o'clock. And tomorrow, Thursday, April 13th, we do have initial jobless claims and PPI. So now we'll look at some news. This is just the chart for CPI, as you can see, coming down here to 5%. And this is the CPI by select categories year over year percent change. As you can see at the top, we have airfare and vehicle maintenance. And at the bottom, we do have fuel, oil, and gasoline. And this is just another chart like the one we just looked at, but this is comparing in the red here to June 2022, which was the high for CPI, and March now, which is the month we just got. As you can see, the big difference here at the top in the change of fuel, oil, and gasoline. And this is the U.S. real average weekly earnings. Inflation adjusted wages are down for a record 24th consecutive month. And this is U.S. rents versus shelter CPI. As you can see, shelter CPI moving up to 8.2%. And this is the highest rate of housing inflation we've had since 1982. And this is global inflation rates. As you can see here, the U.S. kind of in the middle here, with the lowest inflation happening in China and the highest here in Venezuela. And this is a chart from the IMF showing the global growth forecast here. And as you can see, the U.S. is losing here, declining. And you can see China growing, and also India and Brazil. So a lot of the BRICS nations growing, and the G7s are declining here. So now we'll look at the market, do a market recap. We'll start here in the debt market, looking at the 10-year yield. We do have a red day here in the 10-year yield, kind of rolling, not quite touching that midline, but getting pretty close, just consolidating down here. After bouncing off that lower extreme, just getting kind of squeezed here on the daily chart, and just sitting down here at the lower end of this extreme on the weekly chart. Now we'll look at the dollar. Red day here in the dollar, getting continuation to the downside after getting rejected off that midline here, making its way back down to retest these lows from last week, pushing down into this lower extreme here on the weekly chart. Stocks, we do have a red day here in stocks. Today was pretty crazy in stocks with CPI and Fed minutes. We did have a gap up, and then as you can see, just big red day here. Still consolidating up here at the upper end of this daily range. Crypto, we have Bitcoin here. A red day here in Bitcoin, pulling down into that upper extreme here on the daily chart after squeezing to the upside. Getting pretty close to that upper extreme here on the weekly chart. XRP, we do have a red day here in XRP, still consolidating in the same range we've been in for quite some time, with this midline creeping up here. Currently red on the week, sitting right there at that upper extreme on the weekly chart. I'll turn to commodities. We do have a big day here in oil, as you can see, breaking out of this gap up range that we got after OPEC cut production here. Pushing up to the upside here. Looks like it's breaking out of this range we've been in for the past, we've been under this resistance here at about $82, $83 for, going on like 4 months now. So yeah, oil making a big move here, trying to break out of this really important resistance line we got here. Gold, green day in gold, getting pretty squeezed here, starting to get squeezed here, still consolidating up here at the upper end of this daily range, looking for its push to all-time highs here. Silver, another nice day here in silver, getting continuation to the upside. Nice green day here, just continuing up here towards this upper extreme on the monthly chart, after holding above this previous structured resistance here from January. So now we'll look at the trading opportunities from today. We'll start with our volume analysis. As you can see, we finally got a little bit more volume come in today. Majority of it selling. So now we'll look at the 5-minute. So this was our this was yesterday. As you can see, we had that strong, pretty nice day yesterday before selling off in the close, but then we did get a nice gap up here after that CPI report came out with inflation coming in lower than expected here. But then we did just get a monster sell-off, pulling into yesterday's lows before bouncing and then getting our Fed minutes release, and then that caused a cascade event to the downside here, breaking through the previous lows and closing below yesterday's lows here. We can zoom out. As you can see, getting rejected up here at the upper end on this 2-hour chart. Just finding resistance here at this upper extreme. Same here on the 1-hour chart, the 30-minute as well. So just a lot of resistance to the upside here on this gap up, which is a reason for a lot of that selling. As you can see, pulling down in this lower extreme here on the 30-minute. So I didn't like any puts here at the beginning of the day because we had bullish, moving averages across the board. I got close to buying puts here. We can look at the relativity. I got close to buying puts here because we did have momentum shift to the downside with double squeezes, but this was a Fed event that was happening, and crazy volatility occurs with Fed events. So I mean, I was pretty bearish on it, mainly because of the Nasdaq. The SPY still had pretty bullish EMAs and was looking like fairly bullish here. But there was a lot of weakness in the Nasdaq. As you can see here, we had bearish EMAs to the downside. We were running into bearish EMAs on the 1-hour, the 2-hour, the 30-minute. So the Nasdaq was pretty bearish compared to the SPY. But it was pretty big divergence here. So, I actually had the puts pulled up and everything. I actually clicked buy on these 315 puts, but I didn't get filled. It would have been super nice if I got filled, but I was kind of impulsive. Typically you don't want to trade or buy in like minutes before a Fed, anything that has to do with a Fed, any type of decision or their minutes, because the risk is extremely high. Because depending on what they said, the algorithms will be triggered based off their rhetoric, which could cause a massive spike in either direction. But today obviously it was to the downside, coinciding with our double momentum shift squeezes to the downside here on the SPY and the Nasdaq. But yeah, when it comes to trades, I didn't really like any trades. I didn't like this gap up off CPI, and I mean, I kind of like this, but I wasn't, definitely not a good idea to trade here in front of this Fed decision. When it comes to anything else, you really didn't have any other large cap stocks because they're going to be so affected by the move in the Nasdaq and the SPY. So yeah, there wasn't any of those. There was some small caps on the board. There was kind of a move here in Guard Force AI. It had a nice push up, pull back consolidation, momentum shift squeeze to the upside off of VWAP here. Getting a nice push up. This was actually a really nice setup. It did not have options available, and it was like fairly higher price stock, so you would have to buy the shares outright here. And being a $25 stock, this would take a decent bit of buying power here to take advantage of this move. But it was the only decent setup. It was a low float. I think it had like a million float. As you can see, getting its push up, pull back into VWAP with that 15-minute trade line coming in and that 30-minute there to cross, to push it up to the highs. You can look at the daily chart here. That's that line I have drawn. So it was holding above a really significant level from back here. So yeah, really nice level to hold here. As you can see, that's that level right there. It wicked off of it perfectly with VWAP and the lower band with the momentum shift. So yeah, this was a really nice trade here, but it was a higher price stock. It didn't have options available, so you would have to use a good bit of buying power here on this to take advantage of the move. But this is a $25 to $35 move, so that's a pretty significant move here on this stock. Talking about a 35% gain. So yeah, really nice trade here in Guard Force AI. I'm not really can't remember if they had any news or not. I'm not really seeing any specific news right now, but yeah, this was pretty much the only decent setup for a momentum shift squeeze to the upside here. today. You know, I can scan through, but you know, there was really nothing. Yeah, as you can see, this is pretty much the only trade today. So yeah, we had that SPY. We had a lot of action today in the SPY. As you can see, the volatility was extremely increased compared to the price action we did get yesterday, with CPI being pre-market and then the Fed minutes coming out at 2 o'clock here today. So yep, red day here. We did get a vol spike. We have been looking for a vol spike. Majority selling with momentum to the downside here on the daily chart. Might be looking to make its way down here towards this midline or towards this, you know, previous high right here. But yeah, probably be looking for puts tomorrow, especially if we get this, because the 2 hour is pretty squeezed here, and we are looking like we're going to get a trade line crossing below this to the downside here on this 20 EMA, which would be extremely bearish on a larger time frame here. And we do have this 50-day moving average lining up with this previous high. So I would expect if we do get some type of squeeze here to the downside, I would expect maybe around this level here. This previous high lining up with the 50-day moving average around this 402.26 level. So yeah, you know, depending on how tomorrow goes, we should be looking for, you know, if this does stay pretty weak here with all that sell volume we got today. Yeah, we do have momentum to the downside here on the 1 hour too. So yeah, probably be looking for puts tomorrow based off this vol spike we got with the majority selling. You know, just somewhere down to this range here, because I am still overall bullish. As you can see, we do have a squeeze here on the weekly chart with positive momentum, and we are above these key moving averages here on the monthly chart. So, you know, I'm just looking for more of a short-term pullback down here to retest kind of this midline area and that 50-day moving average. So, yeah, that should do it for the video. Appreciate y'all watching, and I will talk to y'all later.